The minutes are approved as presented. Item 3, consider classification of a proposed arcade at 4007 North Oakland Avenue in conjunction with permitted uses and existing conditional uses within the B1 commercial use district for consistency with the Central District Master Plan. I'll hand this over to Director Riepentrop to present.
The applicant actually has requested this item be deferred for future consideration. So there is no discussion tonight for this particular item.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4A, consider classification of a proposed event space with screen printing and drinks at commercial property 4166 North Oakland Avenue in conjunction with permitted uses and existing conditional uses within the B1 commercial use district or consistency with the Central Master District Plan. Director Riepentrop.
We'll make an attempt to use the technology. It appears it may be working for us, so I will do a brief overview presentation. PowerPoint lets me do it. Wow, this is real fun. No. Great. I don't know what view people are seeing because it looks different on my laptop than it does on the screen, but for the room, here we are. So item 4A is an unclassified use with screen printing and drinks. It's currently operated as a real estate business, but the applicant of that business is looking to modify their use. So it's not a new use, it's a modification. And so we were looking at approving the use for what is the space left of Great Clips, the Milwaukee Realty business. Project parcel overview, the business would be known as Sip and Screen Print Lounge, to be located at 4166 North Oakland Avenue. It was zoned B1 commercial use district. So just for reference, all of the applications that were before us tonight were applied for prior to the adoption of the new commercial zoning update. So we are reviewing them under the previous zoning code. And so at the time of application, it was zone B1. Printing shops are expressly listed as a permitted use, so that was not an issue. What is unclassified of the use is the drinking or drinks portion of it. The village zoning code does allow drinks along with restaurants, but not as a standalone business. And so that is what is here before you as an unclassified use tonight. The proposed operations would once again be a screen printing lounge where you would be able to print shirts and other accessories. They would also offer drinks, just beer and wine, not alcohol. That would be required to be licensed through the village board. The tenant space is approximately 1,000 square feet. The business would be looking to be open up 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. up to 7 days a week, largely for events, but they would also accept walk-ins. The events themselves would be up to 20 customers at one time. There'd be one employee on site for that set event or walk-in. Parking was not applicable with this application. This is just a general overview of what they hope to kind of set up more of a lounge couch kind of area along with the equipment so that you kind of hang out and talk with people as you prepare your screen print and materials. So once again, for the review and approval of this, it's kind of the nuance of the old zoning code. But we actually, under my time, have never reviewed a drinking establishment. We've reviewed other things that had drinks with it. But so in the event there's a question as to the classification of a use, the question shall be submitted to the Plan Commission for determination. Any use not specifically listed as either a permitted or prohibited use shall be considered to be a conditional use if the Plan Commission determines that the use is substantially similar to a permitted use, which is what we're seeing on this first slide here. So on the right, you're looking at the permitted uses of the B1 district. I won't read them all, but nothing as specific as, say, tavern or thing of that nature. But there are uses such as restaurants that do allow alcohol to be served. So this is in your packet. So once again, the permitted retail use, permitted service-oriented uses of the B1 district, it would be up to you as the Plan Commission to determine whether or not the proposed use is similar to one of those, or whether it's similar to one of the conditional uses expressly listed for the B1 district. So here on the screen below are the conditional uses that are allowed. Once again, restaurants would be a similar type of use that is allowed with drinks as part of their operations. Or third, if a proposed use in the B1 through B4 district is determined not to be substantially similar to a permitted use or an existing conditional use, The use may be considered as a conditional use if the plan commission determines that the use is consistent with the central district master plan as approved by the village board, as well as any other applicable law or ordinances. I'll be honest, this is a little less clear, but what I did cut out for you is some of the overall goals and objectives of the central district master plan, once again in your packet, so hopefully you had a chance to review that. So what is before us at the current moment under 4A, if at any time the plan commission determines that the use is a conditional use, the provisions of Article 5 of this chapter shall govern. If the plan commission does not determine that the use is a conditional use, then the use is prohibited. So the three questions that we're here at the moment for is the use substantially similar to a permitted use in the district? Is the use substantially similar to an existing conditional use in the district? Is the use consistent with the central district master plan? If yes to any of the above, then the use shall be considered a conditional use and will be reviewed under 4B, which is the next item. If no to all the above, the use would be prohibited. So that's kind of the end of my overview of what the first component of this review is. So I would turn it back to the chair for discussion of whether or not we move forward with the conditional use permit review.
Yeah, and then so procedurally, then we would go to a public hearing.
Correct. It was noticed for a public hearing on the assumption of whether it did or did not pass.
Right, okay, so we're doing this and then we go to the next item to the public hearing.
Correct.
Thank you. So at this time, I can open it up to the commissioners for questions or discussion. Or perhaps a motion. Yes, Commissioner Cunningham.
Yeah, I think I was a little confused about the main purpose. Because, you know, on the agenda, it talks about it being a proposed event space. So are the people coming in, are you make reservations ahead of time for like a group? Or is it like walk-in sales? And then I wasn't quite sure how because there's no front desk on the map, just the bar. And so I wasn't quite sure. Are people coming, making reservations, or you know, sure it's exactly?
Are you the applicant? No, you're, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were Tim.
Yes, I was sure about what the main business.
So I did ask for clarification of that, which in the previous slide kind of lended events would be the primary expectation. So you would go there perhaps, you know, to print shirts for your softball team and you'd hang out and you'd drink and print your shirts, or you would, you know, for a bachelor or bachelorette party. I think the expectation is that it's going to be primarily events driven by those groups. But that there also is an opportunity for walk-ins as well. So it was agended as an event center with screen printing and drinking. The events would be limited to 20 customers, so you know, smaller than a typical restaurant. But it's definitely a new type of use with unclassified written all over it, kind of. So
you go there like for a team building thing, say it's work, not, you know, because they have those businesses where you can go there, buying, paint a picture, you know, that kind of thing. So that's why when I was looking at the map, I'm thinking, okay, where do you put your drink when you're doing the silk screening? So that was just confusing as to just how it was, the operation was laid out.
Does that pertain? I just don't want to get too far out of
so
scope.
it
If
was
it pertains to what we are.
Yeah, it was just confusing what category it would fall into.
So yeah, my understanding is the drinking component of the event would be around the couch or lounge areas. And so when you're not doing your shirt, someone else is doing their shirt. There's only a shirt. The machine, I think, only handles 4 shirts at a time. And so I think it's just a matter of you taking your turn to do it and then hanging out in the lounge space in the meantime. But to President McKeck's point, I'm not sure if that impacts necessarily a condition, but that's my understanding of how they propose.
If you would like further discussion on this item, just tell us what number condition it applies to.
I'm just trying to get a sense of how, where it would fit in this uses.
Okay, Commissioner Woodland.
I'll make a motion. I move to determine that the operation of an event space with screen printing and drinks is substantially similar to permitted use allowed in the B1 district and shall therefore be considered as a conditional use. Second motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Woodland, seconded by Commissioner Pollock. I have a question, and I don't know, it might be out of scope, but they, For that type of liquor license, that's not one of the ones that requires like 20% of your sales be food.
I don't believe so. I know their application is in.
Different department. That's the clerk's department,
Correct.
not yours.
They did apply simultaneously for the conditional use and the liquor license. It was the determination of the administration that the liquor license wouldn't go to the village board until the conditional use was determined. So I know they've applied for it. I believe it's been preliminary reviewed in terms of applicability.
This is just use, so.
Correct.
Take those two separate, so thank you, that confirms. All right, that was my only question that was outside of scope, so I was wrong. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion carries. This is a conditional use. So with that, we will move on to. Consideration of conditional use permit application for proposed, oh no. Apologies.
I'm at the bottom of 27.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the agenda, the other agenda. We are at item 4B, correct?
Correct.
Okay, consideration of conditional use permit application for a proposed event space with screen printing and drinks at commercial property 4166 North Oakland Avenue. Director Griebentraub, just the overview that we received for 4A.
Correct. It's the same information.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to take public comment. There is any this evening. And opening public comment at 6:52. I'm not seeing or hearing anyone. So I will move on to 4BC, Plan Commission deliberation. Is there any discussion, questions, or a motion?
And I have a couple of questions, but is the applicant here?
I don't see them in the audience. I apologize. I did think that the gentleman in the back was, I can try as best as I can, but I don't have, a great grasp of a lot of things, so I'm happy to give you what I have.
Yeah, I mean, I have familiarity with the sub-screen, on a commercial scale. Because
Yes.
my brother-in-law ran one in Phoenix for 15 to 20 years. So I had questions about, the flammability of the inks used in the printing and any special ventilation needed, but
We did confirm that. I confirmed it with the applicant and the health department, and there was no special need for anything with respect to any of the chemicals or of that nature. So yes, that I do have, that I did get information on. So they will be adding a sink to the basement as would have been seen in the, this was a requirement. They have a rinse sink. So that was kind of reviewed by building code and the health department in terms of what they would need at a minimum. And we did confirm that storage was not a problem. So yes, they will be adding a sink to the basement, and storage is fine with the materials they have.
so you said walk-ins or it says walk-ins are pretty welcome to maybe.
Correct. So they may have like, and once again, this is up to them, but they may have like Saturday afternoon walk-in hours where if you just want to come in off the street and do it. But I think primarily events is what they expect to be driving the majority of their business. But yeah, they might have weekend walk-in hours where it's more interactive.
I mean, I just saw the floor plan, there was no indication of like a display area, so if you wanted to come in and buy a shirt or other item to have printed, so, they can work that out.
Correct.
It's part of the business conduct operation. Yes, Commissioner Khan.
So if I'm clear on this, they're still gonna operate the realty of this office space and it's an event.
I do not believe the realty is staying. They're transitioning from the real estate office to this specifically. When you look at the floor plan, there's no space for a real estate kind of office. It's all working tables or couches or lounges. My understanding is that they're completely transitioning away from that to a new business. That being said, you are allowed to have two businesses and a realty office would be permitted use. And so they could definitely carve a space out for that without the plan commission being involved. The reason that we're here is specifically for the drink component of the printing business.
I guess I'll make a motion. Someone else would. I move to approve the conditional use permit application. A proposed event space with screen printing and drinks at commercial property 4166 North Oakland Avenue. Based on meeting conditions stipulated in 535-25C. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Wickland, second by Commissioner Fong. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. All right, moving on to the drive-through item. Consideration of the conditional use permit application for a proposed drive-through lane at commercial property 4231 North Oakland Avenue. For an overview, I'll talk to Director Riepentrop.
Thank you, President McKeag. So once again, similar to the previous use, this has a split component. The bank itself is a permitted use under the previous zoning code. And so Chase Bank is looking to occupy the former PNC Bank at 4231. I think I have that transposed on my slide here. The property prior to the zoning code update was zoned B2 mixed use residential district, which did allow financial institutions, fancy name for bank, as a permitted use per 535-21B1A. However, the zoning code did specifically call out drive-through uses for banks as a conditional use per 535-27C. As you're probably aware, PNC Bank did have a drive-through, but that use had lapsed for more than a year. So it was required to be re-reviewed. And so that is what we're here for tonight, is to review the drive-through component of the permitted use of financial institution. The proposed operations would be a bank with drive-through lane and ATM from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, as well as 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. As you can see here, approximately 4 cars can queue in that existing lane. 8 employees would be on site at maximum capacity, when the bank is fully functioning, expecting 10 to 15 hours per customer. The traffic comes in off of Marion, goes to the south, curves around the corner to use the drive-through canopy, and then exits off onto Oakland Avenue. This is just a picture of the rear condition along the fence line where it abuts private property. And then this here is their, it's hard to see, but it was in your packet as well. This is their landscaping plan kind of to deal with that buffer between the drive-through and the neighboring property. And so that's kind of the overview. Once again, we're here to just review the drive-through component of the proposed bank. And I do believe there are people here to represent this application if there are questions.
And if you don't have questions, we can go to the conditions on page 36 that we are considering. Yes, Commissioner Kevin.
The 10 to 15 customers per hour, is that just for the drive-through or for the bank as well?
And if you could speak into that microphone over in the side, it's kind of temperamental. And just state your name for the record as well.
We're the record for this project. The 10 to 15 per hour is both drive-through and in the main range.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the drive-through. The proposed drive-through lane at commercial property 4213 North Oakland Avenue. Based on the meeting the conditions stipulated in 535-20C.
On the amendment to make it 4231, I transposed the numbers in my information. That's 4231.
It was correct on the agenda and then transposed, so
Yep.
we had an agenda. All right, is there a second? Second. Okay, splitting the room here. Motion by, Commissioner Kyle Miller, second by Commissioner Klein. Any further discussion? Did I forget public comment? I'd like to open it for public comment at 7:01.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, sir.
I guess I'm a little confused because with the new zoning code, the
Oh,
expectation.
could you say your name and
Oh.
your address, please?
Mitchell Opping, 4512 North Larkin Street. I was a little confused because the new zoning seems to state that we're trying to shift the car-oriented traffic to. Sorry.
Capital.
Cap.
Yep.
And moving the more pedestrian-oriented traffic onto Oakland. And this seems like fairly antithetical to that idea, and I'm still a little confused as to why pursuing, continuing with the drive-through on Oakland.
Sure. So this, can I answer that question? Sorry.
Is it a question or is it a statement that, are you making a comment for us not to support it? Or that you're against it, or?
I guess I would like to hear more as to how this fits into the overall vision for the neighborhood.
Oh, thank you very much.
So the main issue was that they applied on February 1st of this year, and the new zoning code did not get adopted until February 6th. And so we're reviewing this under the previous zoning code that didn't have that same level of goal on Oakland Avenue. So once again, in the B2 district, which is what this property was zoned on February 1st when they applied, this was allowed as a permitted use with a conditional accessory use of the drive-through. And so we are obligated by law to review them under the previous code. But yeah, hopefully moving forward, we can adhere to those goals and we will have, different results. But the previous use and the one that was deferred all applied back in January, early February. So I completely agree with you. The new zoning code, which I mentioned in my memo, would have required there to be some retail component or something more to the front of this business. And so a bank is still allowed, a drive-through is still allowed, but it would not have been allowed up to the street level. So would they have chosen to occupy a building only half? That's a question that we'll have to determine in the future. But under the previous code, they're allowed to occupy it fully as a bank.
Thank you.
Procedurally going back to, we have motion on the floor with a second. Any discussion of the commissioners? For these reasons, I'm going to support this. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Trustee Kudo, are you still on?
Yes,
And you said yes?
yes, please,
Okay.
yes.
So motion carries 6-0. Thank you very much and welcome to Shorewood. All right. Item 6, discussion and possible consideration of 2022 Plan Commission annual report. This report is within our materials. It's pretty straightforward. We are being asked to adopt it. Are there questions for Director Griebentraub at this time related to the report? I think it was a great year for the Planning Commission.
It seemed like a busier year.
It was a really busy year. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve 2022 Plan Commission annual report as drafted.
I'll second that.
Right, motion by Commissioner Pollock. Seconded by Commissioner Wickland. Any discussion? Great job, everyone. Keep it up. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item 7, discussion and possible consideration of Planning Commission future initiatives. These also are summarized in our materials. I believe that would put us at considering home occupation businesses next. And that's what's being recommended. Any questions for Director Creepencrog, or would you like to share anything?
Just want to share a brief overview of the process in case you're not as familiar. So I serve multiple commissions, including the Design Review Board, CDA. I will be working on chickens and backyards as well this year. So just as a level of expectation, my work plan includes work from multiple committees and commissions. And so we have 2 on here. We could add as many as we want to. The reality is only so many fit into my work plan. So just wanted you to be aware, last year I pretty much worked exclusively on the commercial zoning update. And so sometimes those things kind of take over more of the projects than you'd expect. Currently, I'm projected to update the sign code with the Design Review Board and the special privilege regulations with the Village Board through the Community Business Relations Commission. So I'm happy to work on any and all of them as time permits. Just wanted to give you a expectation of, if you pick this tonight, you're probably not going to get me to present you with options, say at the March meeting, but I'm happy to, put them all into my pool of work and talk with the village manager about how we prioritize them accordingly. So I just wanted to give that as a kind of a level setting heads up of where we're at.
Discussion, input, questions.
Great topics. Work.
I think it makes sense.
I know Therese was very interested in accessory dwelling.
Also, whole occupation, accessory dwellings, and those are very pertinent.
Yeah, they were very. I have just a couple things. Since the whole uses of medical, dental, veterinary things, we're going to review in a year. Do we want to put that down, say for next February, that we'll do that review after 1 year, just to get it like on our radar so we don't forget about it?
I don't know that I'd put that in the initiatives list, but I'd be happy to include in my work plan so that I make sure next February you get it.
It would be a placeholder.
And then the number 7 of the list, you had that update the zoning code lead standards. I wasn't sure if you were referring specifically to, when the Conservation Committee had their whole report. We didn't really read it over, discuss it, so I wasn't sure if that was something that we were just.
So that was discussed. Yeah, that was discussed within the commercial zoning update in terms of the reality of what green standards we can have in a zoning code in a community of our size. And so the Conservation Committee did develop that list. Out of that, we did get bird-friendly designs. So some things were incorporated. We do have more landscaping standards in the new code. So my impression was that was incorporated into the commercial zoning code as best as it could have been. If there's more specific things that you want to pull out of that list, we can always add that specifically. But in terms of the overall topic of the green standards, I'd rather be more specific than broad when it comes to what that means.
2 years. And the only other last thing, now that we have our new uses table. And I don't know that this would be.
If you're speaking on I don't know if I can, are you picking up the microphone? I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Now that we have our new uses table, and I don't know whether this would fall under our purview or more of the bid director. Did we ever want to do, I know Jim Plaiston used to do this, do any kind of review about the business uses that we have in Shorewood? There was a study several years ago in what holes we might have where we could be a little proactive in recruiting businesses to come to Shorewood, or is that really not in our?
Yes. I don't think it's in the purview of the plan.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna, the CDA might want to do something like that if they want business retention or something like that.
I think it's been a joint initiative with the bid and the CDA in the past.
Yeah, that's where I remember those discussions.
All right, hearing no further discussion, do we have a motion? Is there a motion to approve
Anybody think next meeting?
the initiatives?
Yeah, certainly.
We're just approving the initiatives as presented.
I will make a motion to approve the initiatives as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. You really switching it up there. Okay, motion by Commissioner Wickland, seconded by Commissioner Kylie Miller. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item 8, future agenda items. Director Buchenwald?
I have none to share. I'm just trying to stop sharing the screen and that's not working, so that we can, but we're gonna not worry about that. I have no future, agenda items, in the office right now in terms of applications. We do have the two deferred applications from Mr. Dirks for the arcade at 4007 Oakland and the laser tag arena at 4015. Whether he chooses to pursue those is up to him. I did communicate to him earlier, this week that typically applications expire after 4 months, and so you just can't, keep them indefinitely. So hopefully, he gets the information he needs from his partners or investors or architects that we can hopefully review those. But nothing beyond that is sitting in the to-do list.
I'll make a motion. Second?
I'll second.
All right, so motion to adjourn, Barbara Kelly Miller, seconded by Josh Pollock. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 7:12.
Motion chicken is the